Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Sealzy, and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today we're talking about The Long Walk, Walk Till You Die, and it's a book adapted from Stephen King, so a Stephen King book adapted into a movie, very original idea, and it's been marketed and hyped for a while. I swear I would see it on like TikTok 3 times a day. Every time I go on a YouTube video, there'd be some Long Walk trailer. I'm the last of my kind. It's been hyped and marketed for a long time now. People were talking about it when it got announced as a new Stephen King adaptation. So yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to do a little review. And if you enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. By the way, this will be a spoiler review. I'm not going to try and beat around the bush here. So if you don't want spoilers, click away now. And yeah, let's get into it. So The Long Walk. Is it any good, or does it grind my gears? And I'd say it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. No, but it was good. I liked it, but I really just liked it. That's the thing. There was just some things in the movie that stopped me from fully loving this and being excited about this movie like some people are. And I'll get into my overall feelings of the movie a little later. But first, let's get into the plot of this movie. So the main character is a teenage boy named Ray Garrity, and he lives in a dystopian world where the United States had this great war. The war is very vague. We don't know what happens in this war, but it was big, killed lots of people, not very nice, very bad, and it absolutely destroyed the US economy, leaving very few people with actual wealth and money. So that leads to a lot of people being incredibly destitute, not having a lot of options. So the government creates this thing called the Long Walk. Basically, one participant from each state has to walk for as long as they can. There is no finish line. It's walk till you drop, and if you drop, you get shot in the head. That's what happens. And if you win, you'll win incredible riches beyond what you can imagine and one wish. And that's the premise of this movie. These people are forced to walk because they don't have any other options, and they'll choose the possibility of dying, which they probably will. There's a 1 in 50 chance they'll even win, but they'll take that probability and that high probability of dying because they're just so destitute and have no money. This is the dystopian world they live in. The United States in this world is also very fascist and nationalistic, and they use this long walk as a sort of thing to show that people shouldn't be lazy and that you should work hard and all that sort of stuff. And also any sort of like free thought or free speech is put down, and even the idea of saying the long walk shouldn't be a thing is seen as dissent and treason, and you can be killed for that action. And the general, who's a big part of this movie, the main antagonist, he's like the guy who runs it, and he's basically the figurehead. And during this journey Raymond Garrity goes on, he makes meaningful human connections and bonds with the people he's going on this journey with, and he has to grapple with the fact that he probably won't make it, and the people that he's surrounding himself with and then becoming friends with, or at least having connections and talking with, will probably also not make it. And even if they do make it, he won't see that. And it's a very hard thing he has to deal with, and I'm trying to get into more of my feelings of this movie, and it's a really good part of the movie. I really liked that. I liked how you got to see how these people come to this very unhuman type of reality that they live in. It's really interesting. They realize that, yeah, I probably won't survive this. I'm probably going to die. And something in this movie that I find really good and what I really liked is how graphic and visceral the deaths are. You can really easily make in a movie like someone dying from a gunshot wound to the head pretty tame if you want to. You can make it as tame as you want, but the thing with it is you can make it as violent and visceral as you want. And this movie does a great job of making gunshot deaths very violent and very graphic, which unfortunately is the way they actually are. And I like that. I like that they don't shy away from that. And it makes it really fucked up that these people are like teens and they're young and they're getting their heads blown off, and you see that, which makes it even worse when you're watching this movie and you care so deeply for the characters. I'm starting off with the good stuff. I enjoy this movie, all good stuff right now. It makes it really sad to see these characters unfortunately die in some fucking horrific ways. I mean, this character Olsen, who's a very important character in the movie, not very, he talks with the group, and you get to see him, and he's a very fun character, and unfortunately, he dies. He dies in a very messed up way, very fucked up way. One kid, he's like underage for it, and he's one of the first who actually dies. He's too young for the long walk, and he gets like brutally shot in the head, and his face is all ripped out, and they triple or double tap him. It's messed up, man. It's a very graphic and violent movie, and I enjoyed that. You know, it made it more than what it could have been if it wasn't so violent. The violence definitely made the movie better. It did. It just did. But overall, yeah, the character, the relationships is what makes this movie between the characters and how they interact, and then in the incoming doom that you know these people are definitely going to die. You know they are. You just know they are. And you also get to see how people handle it in their own different ways. Like I mentioned, some people find meaningful friendships and connections through this. Other people are not very good people in the movie, and it shows what happens to them and how they deal with it, and how they deal with not having meaningful connections with people and being alone. Like a certain character, Barkovich, in the movie, he like made a kid die or something, and he had to deal with the fact that he was labeled as a killer, and he started hating himself, and he ended up like fucking like killing himself in front of everybody. Movie is fucked up. It is graphic. But here's some of my problems with the movie and some of the things that stop me from fully loving it and just liking it. It's the fact that even though it's an hour and 48 minutes, it feels too long, because there's only so much you can do when people are just walking. The writing is good, but it's not the best. It's not great. As I mentioned with the guy Barkovich or whatever, you know, he's an interesting take. It's an interesting idea of what they have, but how it's handled and how it's executed, it's just not that fun. He's just a dickhead character for basically no reason, and then they try to make me feel bad for him. Like, I liked the idea that they had, but it just wasn't planned that well. And also, there's not a lot of, as I mentioned, tension in this movie. I do have tension for some characters, but I knew who was going to live in the movie. And what I mean by that is that it already established very early who the main kind of cast was, which I feel like was a mistake. It should have been very, like, not showing you who the main characters are. Everyone, I feel like, should have had equal screen time. I know it's 50 people, but not all 50 should have had screen time. Maybe have, like, 10 or 15 people who all have screen time. Other people are being involved, too. So it's more of a guess of who's going to live. I basically already knew within the first, 10-15 minutes of the movie who was gonna be the last two. I mean, it does show that in the trailer, which is also is pretty bad, but I kind of already knew who was gonna live in the movie, which isn't good. Just by watching the first 15 minutes, I know at the end who's gonna live, which I feel like takes a lot of suspense and tension away. When I see a guy struggling who I know like that isn't the main two of the cast, which is Peter and Raymond in the movie, then I'm like, okay, he's gonna die probably in the next 10 minutes. Okay, cool. All right. Like, it leaves away a lot of tension, which I feel like would have been great and would have helped this runtime of this movie, because it does kind of follow that these people are just walking. That's all they're doing. And the writing can be excellent. It can be great, but you have to have some fucking stellar writing to make an hour and 48 minutes of people just walking be entertaining for that whole hour and 48. And they just weren't. These people who wrote this movie aren't the best writers in the world, so they just can't do that. Maybe very few people can do that, but they just can't. And also the fact that I just know who's going to be alive and literally the last two in the movie, it gives away a lot of tension. If I didn't know, it was like 10-15 guys who were like main characters, and I was like, I don't know who's gonna die, I don't know like what's gonna happen, this guy's struggling, but I want him to survive, oh no, that could be interesting. It makes it a lot more of an interactive viewing experience. But I already know who's gonna live, it's like, okay, all right, like that's not very fun, that's not very great. So yeah, honestly, I would say a little bit of a letdown for this movie. I liked it, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't that great, and people were raving about the book. I think it was Stephen King's first book, and I expected more, But I also kind of knew, like, I heard about the premise. I'm like, it's just people walking. It might not be the best. And I hear it's a dystopian kind of like teen, more like novel. And I'm like, it might not be the best, but it was all right. You know, I'll give it about a 7 out of 10. A 7, maybe 6.5, 7 out of 10. Honestly, like I said, the main point is just I know who's going to live. I know who's going to survive. And I just don't like that. Also, some of the writing felt a little bit like, not the dialogue felt a little bit just like not the best at certain moments. And the acting, it didn't feel real or genuine or authentic, which I think is really important when you're trying to have these, you know, more deep human connections. You have to really rely on, you know, character building and dialogue, because like I said, all they're doing is walking. And if that's lacking, then your whole movie's kind of gonna fail. If you really have to rely on the writing of a dialogue, if that's not like tip top 10 out of 10, the movie won't be 10 out of 10. It won't be whatever the level of the writing is. That's the level of the movie is, and the writing to me is a 7 out of 10. From the dialogue to the characters and to the whole thing of, to me, of how it should have been a lot more. I should not know who's gonna live and who's gonna be the last two for the end of the movie. Like I should not know that. I should not know for basically 100% certainty who the last two will be in the movie like this. If I didn't, it would make the movie so much more enjoyable and it'd be so much more like, you know, tense. I don't know who's gonna live, right? That'd be way better. But yeah, guys, that's my thoughts on The Long Walk. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, guys, peace.